me to take you to a place of magic, a YouTube video filled with wonders. Now welcome, all you ladies and gentlemen, everything in between, fae and beyond. But before we begin our deep dive into a story of Cinderella's castle, I must introduce my assistant, knowledgeable of all things puppetry. He is the handsome, courageous, well-spoken Review Starkid! You forgot about Shut up. Anyways, now that we have both of us together, we can finally begin.
Let's go.
Cinderella's Castle feels so different to what we've gotten in our beloved Hatchetfield series, but at the same time feels like a return to form to the classics that we've seen from Starkid. It is rewriting a Disney classic, such as seen in Twisted, but also it is making use of puppetry that we haven't seen since Starship, and I am going to slow down right there and start to structure this thing out before a certain puppet says that I'm stealing his lines. Not since Twisted have we seen Starkid put Disney to shame with how well they can take the material they have and make something better. And oh boy, what a time for them to release Cinderella's Castle when Disney decides to release a remake of their own little princess movie. I'd planned to go see Snow White in order to compare the two, but by the time I got into the cinema, there was a do not enter sign on the screen door, so I went to go see the Minecraft movie instead.
Chicken jockey!
Similar to the Twisted, we are introduced to the show via a narrator, this time played by Jeff Blim, who makes apparent that the audience is very much a part of the story and the world that he is creating. He addresses them as magical folk and very much brings them into the story in this fantasy theatre known as Boggs Hollow, which seems like a continuation on from how Tin Can Bros in their How the Grinch Stole Christmas show that they had seemed to do the same, with the actors going into the audience and stuff and having the actual seats be props used in the show. However, this show takes on a much darker tone than Twisted, and although it has just as many dick jokes, we'll get to that in a while, it seems that this takes on a much more mature tone than any other Starkid show that we have ever seen. But with a funny woodblock playing dwarf and an overly British frog, how could this possibly be? Well, it's time to talk about the puppets. I knew there was a reason we reviewed Starship before Cinderella Castle came to YouTube. These puppets, I think I'll talk about the costumes in this section too, have taken a monumental leap from where we were back in Starship and even the Hatchetfield shows. The level of detail put into them while still being functional, especially the rigging for the troll puppets, took my breath away when I saw them for the first time. I could only imagine what it was like to see it in person live. I don't have a person, and I don't have a test to take away. Sorry about that. I think that's enough out of him for one video. But anyways, as was mentioned, the puppet design, Nick and Matt Lang, incredible. The costume design, which I think I'll actually mention a bit further on in the video, incredible. Rebecca Carr, mwah, phenomenal. Jeff Blim did a phenomenal job with these songs, taking a far more serious tone than that we're used to with Starkid, going back to the more emotional beats that we'd see in something like Twisted, and a far cry from the singy-sungy happy songs of Hatchetfield.
What an ass! What a bitch! What a cock!
I can't say any of them were all that catchy, however, with every time I watch Cinderella's Castle, I have to say it keeps getting better and better, and I love the songs more and more each time I watch them. But just off the top of my head, I can't quite quote any of them, and I don't know if that'll persist, but maybe with another watching, because, first watch is when I'm thinking about it, second watch I'm scripting it, third watch I'm really absorbing it in, but maybe that'll change. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And speaking of watching it over and over again, let's all watch it together as we take a deep dive into our show, Cinderella's Castle.
There's a castle on a hill, as the story goes.
Holy moly, Jeff Blim is absolutely serving, I don't even know what. Short hair and eye makeup has never looked so good on him. We are introduced to our show with our opening song, Castle on a Hill, as well as the highly immersive fourth wall breaking setting of the show. And to enhance and accompany our daring and tragic story... Whoops, was that adjective a spoiler? Who cares? We have our band, the Whippoorwill. The Whippoorwill. The Whippoorwill.
The Whippoorwill.
We have Matthias Longfellow, Matt Dahan, on keys, who you might recognize from improvising the entirety of the soundtrack of Nightmare Time. We have the Wibbler Boys, Sam Janives and Chester, playing the Wibbler Wobblers, and we have Toothless John, Austin Farmer, on the Drumble-Dumblers, and our last band member, but our first puppet of the show, Ragweed Rockhammer, Joey Richter, as our dwarven woodblock player, who plays to the beat of his own...
Now you hit the damn block?
woodblock. So with everyone introduced in the real world of Boggs Hollow, we can travel into our storybook world of Cinderella's...
Not yet. Now.
Of Cinderella's Castle. Our story's main protagonist is, of course, Cinderella of House Ashmore, because we all know the classic Thomas the Tank Engine exclamation,
cinders and ashes,
whose mother was burnt at the stake for witchcraft, and her father got too crunk in the cranium to keep living. Or, at least that's what they say. Covered in filth, berated by a butcher, and absolutely roasted by her new mother.
Her mother is ash on the winds, thank the gods. Stepmother, sir, I'll not have it said I squeezed out this creature.
Wow. Angela is a whole new vibe that I'm used to seeing her, and it works so damn well. Anyway, she is the stepmother. Spoiler alert, Cinderella's mother isn't as she appears. She's a troll wearing a human disguise, and with that foreknowledge, while watching these scenes back, the ways in which she moves look so inhuman, which is such a mastery of character movement that goes well overlooked. If it wasn't obvious she wasn't human from her want for putrid meat and her taking advantage of the men of the village, or should I say, the pigs.
Oh, it won't take long, will it, you filthy pig?
She also threatens Cinderella with removing her feet. What a weirdly specific thing to say. Meanwhile, away from her family, Cinderella struggles to cry out for help as she's kept filthy and stinky and is berated by the townspeople as her gaslight gatekeep girl-bossing mother, stepmother, has told the tale of the mad maid to everyone, keeping her in this shadow of a curse. Even people who knew her before her parents were killed dare not help her in case they catch whatever this hex that's been placed upon her. And the hex is called Cursed Crazy.
Cursed or crazy, you don't wanna know it. If life is a burden, you know that you've been burnt or shady. Send it out of the picture, whether you want it or not, or you are cursed crazy.
This song is definitely just Jeff Blim living out his Lady Gaga dream. Changed my mind. As Cinderella gets yeeted into the river for a bath, one thing is clear though. Bryce Charles, as Ella Ashmore, is giving a performance of such raw emotion, in contrast wildly with the starkid comedic tone, which is, once again, why I love how starkid is doing something so new with this show.
No, please! Please! No!
Good job. Good job. Honestly, the best we've ever done.
Speaking of that classic comedic starkid tone, here comes our next major character, the prince.
I've traveled the world and tasted wine and cheese and grapes and honey, but nothing compares to the juice and the hairs of a taste of royal Connie.
Yep, James Tolbert somehow performs as a charismatic, confident, yet absolutely disgusting man, which becomes more and more apparent as the show goes on. Trust me, having to put up with this prince is his assistant, squire, knight, guard, servant guy by the name of Thaddeus, played by my beloved Kurt Mega, who, now that I'm looking at him, kind of reminds me of Luke Holt. I think I've been reviewing Epic the Musical for too long. Anyways, the prince calls for his carriage to stop so he may relieve his royal bowels down, down, down by the river, where he crosses paths with the first time in a very long time, clean Ella. However, she mightn't be clean for very long given the dirty situation the prince is in.
Oh, pardon, sir. I've seen a cock. No more trials today, gods. I beg of thee. I'm so sorry, sir.
Oh, no need to apologize. There are many regrettable things in life, but a maiden stealing a glance at your member is not amongst them.
You know, in the words of Bo Burnham, if you think your dick is a gift, I promise it's not. Unfortunately for Ella, this is the first individual that has not fled at the mere sight or smell of her, so she can't help but be wooed by his sweet words.
Comely.
Damn, I'm still getting used to this ye olde English speak in this sort of musical. This sweet and tender moment is interrupted by the wicked stepmother's cries for Ella before the stepmother sees the prince and changes her tune drastically, once again displaying a pretty poor imitation of human empathy. Once again, the gaslight gatekeeping girl boss herself tells the prince that Ella is unfortunately delusional and imagines things such as trolls living in the side of skins of humans, orchestrating the downfall of her house. What an oddly specific thing to say. Before the stepmother goes ahead and steals Ella's man, although at this point I think it's kind of a favor that she's doing for him, Thaddeus reminds the prince he must go and see the king and spare us of all this awkward talk of woodpeckers and swallows. Damn, even I'm starting to speak a bit of ye olde English now. Our narrator, Jeff Blim, once again introduces us to our new setting, the House of Ashmore, kept in a state of disrepair by its residents, which are finally revealed to be...
Yes! Scream! I remember when these hills rang with that sweet music.
These puppets are amazing. A whole rig that can be controlled by the performer with a moving jaw and complete with blinking eyes and voice modulation, making these the most detailed puppets starkid has made yet. I applaud you, Nick and Matt Lang. These are so damn cool. All the way from the giant imposing trolls to the surprisingly expressive frog, puppeted by John Madison, which gives us a wonderful display of conveying emotion without dialogue.
Step 1, smash frog with big fucking rock.
The crowd hasn't reacted this much to anything in the whole show, yet their hearts have been stolen by Little Hop-a-Lot. All up until, holy western, what in the yeehaw is this song?
But another part? A deep secret part that speaks in my true mother's voice? Won't let me die. Not before they do.
Bryce Charles, you gifted singer. She really shines through in the bridge of the song, showing off her vocal skills that really seem like only a teaser of what's to come. And that's really saying something for how much oomph she gives.
Not to smite these demons with my father's sword and legion. Oh my God, I'ma need you. Help my soul.
At the dinner table, we are introduced to Putris and Rensilda, played by Lauren Lopez and Mariah Rose Faith, Ella's ugly stepsisters. Every time they spoke, of course, all I was waiting for was Joey Richter to jump out dressed up as Jangle from Santa Claus Goes to High School.
Hundreds of people shitting in the same privy shafts. It's gonna stink so good.
That's right.
It is revealed that Ella's childhood friends are coming to visit, and because of that, the house must be cleaned, and Ella can finally dress normally rather than in her usual rags. Ella is so overjoyed that it's time for another song!
And if I close my eyes, I can see the best in front of me, front of me, front of me.
This song sounds way too upbeat and bright, almost as if the musical version of something that's too good to be true. And too good to be true it is. We see Ella's friends arrive and are played by Lauren Lopez and Mariah Rose Faith, and oh no, I think I can see where this is going. After the word jest has lost all meaning,
Was it Jess?
Well, sometimes you jest too much.
No, it wasn't that. It's just...
and Ella reveals to her friends the truth about her stepmother and sisters, as hope reaches its highest point.
Oh, the gods are good. Yes, they delivered us here to save you.
Did they? Or did they deliver you to me on a silver platter?
Lizzie!
You monster! I hate you.
Oh, you're breaking my heart!
Her friends were dead, skinned to be used as disguises for her ugly stepsisters, and Ella would forever be tormented by the sight of her dead friends being paraded around by the ones who hated her the most. Lauren Lopez and Mariah Rose Faith really get to flex their versatility in acting in this one, from acting as trolls to acting as Ella's friends to acting as trolls inside of Ella's friends as disguises. Remember how I was talking about the inhuman movements of the stepmother? Well, now that is dialed up to 11 now that all three actresses on stage are doing the same thing. In the next song, I look good in this.
And I hear you're rich. I look good in this. My facade won't let me down.
Obvious double meaning aside, Angela sounds the best she ever has. Her progress as a singer from Black Friday through Nerdy Prudes to here, I was blown away. Also, Lauren Lopez on the choreography, while sometimes hit or miss with the group pieces, in this song, I love every single moment of it. I almost forgot the horrible tragedy that led to this.
Ella! I'm afraid I made an awful mess when I was skinning your companions. Take what's left of them and put it in the ground.
Oh yeah. That. As Ella must carry out her duty of burying her friend's remains, a great power awakens, and Kim Whalen steps forth, and she is Mother. Costume design in this show is flawless, and I must say, although I've kind of been stealing his job in this video, Jeff Blim's narration really enhances the suspension of disbelief and enhances the imagination of the audience to truly envision what is meant to be portrayed on the stage. The all-seeing eyes. No, not of Blinky. Get back in your boxes, Hatchetfield fans. This is a different thing, okay? The multiverse is not that deep. The all-seeing eye and the burning, purifying light of the fairy queen of sweet dreams takes the place of our fairy godmother in this Cinderella retelling. She grants Ella a wish in return for freeing her from her prison in the realm of death through the blood of the innocent and righteous fury. And that wish is...
Revenge!
Creeper. Oh man.
I apologize sincerely. The joke was right there, and I'm recently after seeing the Minecraft movie. Sorry.
Chicken jockey!
The Fairy Queen forges 3 gifts for Ella to aid her in her righteous quest for vengeance. A knight to fight for her, a squire to assist them both, and at last a trip to the ends of time, where the last mote of starlight would be weaved into a dress, and slippers that would conceal her identity from those that would see her at the ball. Oh yes. And one last gift. A song to close out Act 1 of our show.
Hopes are dead and dashed and dreams are lost, but the gods still know who's blood to run. Ash, ash, dust to dust, Cinderella must to the prince's ball we go.
Castle on a hill.
I shall craft this starlight. Ash, ash, dust to dust, Cinderella trust to radiate and glow. Oh, I shall craft this starlight. I shall wrap thee in these cinders, Elle. You shall be as radiant and terrible as I.
Okay, so at this point, given that it's our intermission, I'm actually going to go a little bit off script here and just give my own thoughts about everything that has happened all the way through Act 1. And let me tell you that between me scripting this video and now, I've been watching the Story Matters podcast between Kurt Mega and Bryce Charles, which I'll be talking more about on the final thoughts section of this video. But I just want to say that it is also a shared thought by the actors that, the whole difference between what Starkid usually does, especially in Hatchetfield and in Cinderella's castle, is very different, especially given like the language that's used and where those turns and changes happen to make those more comedic moments. And it's very interesting to see, and I absolutely, definitely recommend that you give that podcast a watch, and I will be linking it below in the description. And it really gives like a better insight into sort of like the actors' perspective of the show and how they worked on and created the characters, because in a way this is actually a very original show. However, with those differences and how it is such a different vibe than we've seen from Starkid, I still must say I am loving it. Is it my favorite? No. Do I prefer Hatchetfield over it? Yes, I would say so. Just from the standpoint of, I feel like Cinderella's castle is suffering from the whole Black Friday thing of trying to develop a world alongside telling a story, which going forward that won't be necessary. So like if they come back to the whole, hey, this is a story that we're telling in Boggs Hollow, they don't need to do the whole, it's sort of assumed that people know what's going on already, and they don't have to put those building blocks in place for future things. They can just go now. You get the idea. And then as for just the story itself, I love it. As an adaptation of the Cinderella story, I love it so much. It is like such a different level of dark and tragic that is just contrasted by how carefree the trolls are about the whole thing and that they're just dishing it all out. Bryce Charles as Ella Ashmore does an incredible job as being the emotional heart of the story, because in Starkid shows obviously you need that strong protagonist for us to follow along, because a lot of the times in Starkid shows you'll just have the fourth wall being broken and jokes being thrown around and you don't know what the vibe is half the time. Like, what should we take serious? What is a joke? What is a nod and a wink to the audience? And so Bryce Charles does such a good job at keeping that serious tone of just how difficult Ella's life is, while also not bringing down the mood entirely by keeping it lighthearted enough that we know that this is still a Starkid comedy show. And speaking of the whole Cinderella adaptation, we haven't even gotten to the ball yet, and as such, I believe it's time for us to end our intermission and head on in to Act 2.
Lords, ladies, all citizens of the realm, presenting your indomitable, indubitable, magnetic, majestic, and most charming prince.
You forgot well hung. Fucking asshole.
So jumping straight back in, we have our royal ball. And speaking of royal balls, the prince emerges with quite the magnificent copies, if I do say so myself. And as the frivolity begins and James Colbert busts it down sexual style, we are treated to wonderful conversation amongst the troll girls, which Nick and Matt Lang, the writing for these three it's just so good. It's so good. I could actually listen to a podcast of these three talking for hours, and I think that just speaks to my sense of humor and really exposes me for the kind of stuff that I find funny.
You want them to lust for you. Don't be fooled by the man-folk's pleasantries. Underneath their silken satin they are swine. Take thy tiny plump cocks betwixt thy fingers, and they will become your willing slaves.
Is that how it was with you and Dad?
Oh, please. Your father was a real troll. We did battle across the bridge of Fell Doom. We plumaged to his lair for a night of slime and seed, and in the depths of my ecstasy, I tore the head off his shoulders. For only one may leave the mating hole alive. That is the troll way.
Oh, how romantic.
Yeah.
So the three devise a game plan to woo the prince into marrying at least one of them, but as introductions go awry, Rensilda has to think quickly and make a Lord of the Rings reference.
Excuse me?
You shall not pass!
Rensilda's forbidden love of riddles actually works, as she makes a dick joke which, if I haven't made reference to enough, the prince absolutely adores.
What a wit! Thaddeus, did you get it? Windless she blows. On her knees. Oh, nothing splits my sides quite like a blowjob joke.
Unfortunately, the prince isn't really into personalities unless you're carrying two of them on your chest.
I got melons! Forget melons! I've got tits!
Oh, you sure do. Oh, how can I possibly choose between the two of you? Thaddeus, can I wed them both?
Not without another war against the church, sire.
Oh, damn.
However, before he chooses between Rensilda and Putris to marry, we are treated to the most gorgeous dress I have ever seen in my life.
Ella Ashmore dazzled in her trappings of starlight. Her glass slippers truly the greatest gift from the fairy queen, for they were the source of the magic. So long as they remained upon Ella's feet, the good fairy's power would work to see Ella's sweet dreams come true. Here at the ball, the slippers cloaked her in a glamour. None would know her as the town's pariah, but as a beguiling stranger, mysterious as she was beautiful.
It glows in the dark. It glows in the dark. This dress perfectly depicts how the magic conceals her identity and honestly is just really damn cool to look at. Costume design was done by Rebecca Carr, and honestly I need contact details for when I need a wedding dress or a suit or something like that, because this is elite. The power of this dress is so great that we get a moment of genuine awe from the prince, not entirely sex related, and oh my dear stars, it changes color. I need this dress. Or a suit that does the same thing. Or something. I don't know, I just want to see it on my body, and I want to see it sparkle and shine and change color, and I want to hit the dance floor in it, and I just need it. Someone hook me up, please. I need it. I need it a little bit too much. The song, the dance, the dress, all the costumes in fact are so damn beautiful. Even the trolls join in before returning to their classic antics of eating shit out of a pot, and when they spy that this new mysterious maiden has taken the prince's attention, the stepmother grabs the service of another pig.
I have a job for you. Two, actually. One requires my hand, and the other requires yours.
Not sure I follow, Mom.
Ah, you will. Piggy, piggy, piggy.
Oink, 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 oink.
Now I've very much brushed over the introduction of Sir Hop-a-Lot and his Squire Crumb, but John Madison and Joey Richter do an incredible job at not only puppeting, but acting over and back with these two very differently designed puppets, managing to portray some very dynamic movements as demonstrated in this next scene.
Petty! Petty! Thrust! No, mind your footwork, Crumb.
Sorry, sir. I tripped on my tail. And this is such a large sword for such a small mouse.
I appreciate this little scenes that are just there for character development over plot development. Not only am I far more invested in the character, but they allow for the large pieces of the set and costumes to be moved around in time for the following scenes. And also, it's just really entertaining to watch these two.
His plate is honor, and his shield is...
Honor!
Of course not. What would give you that idea? A knight's shield is stoicism, my boy.
Oh, I see.
You do not. You still have much to learn, I'm afraid.
Yes. It seems I'm wrong no matter what I say.
And that is where you're wrong, my boy. Now, again. Petty. Petty. Fast. Oh.
I had too much cheese.
Yes.
Come, my star, join me on the veranda. There's a lovely view of the gardens, the topiary, though I'm sure they pale in comparison to your lovely bush. How I long to be its gardener.
We are so back. The prince is back to being a prick and Ella just has to suck it up in order to dismantle her stepmother's plans and marry this prince.
Marriage with her would not be a prison. The rest of the world would be a prison from her cunny. Oh, wow. That might be the most romantic thing I've ever said.
I never want to hear the word cunny ever again.
Perhaps my prince could do with a trip to the vomitorium.
Perhaps. You are correct. Thaddeus, do not let this one out of your sight until I return.
Thank you, Thaddeus, for coming in with the save. Now for the only two serious characters in the entire show to have a conversation, and it is sweet and wholesome and probably the most genuine bit of maybe even flirting that we've seen thus far.
So, you must be pleased. The prince is looking for a bride. He'll choose you, obviously.
Really? What makes it so obvious?
Well, who wouldn't?
Which goes to contradict the prince and his mannerisms. The Griswold girls teasing Ella about whether she's kissed or not, and the troll's view of humans and their lustful ways, and yet these are just two people. He's just a boy, she's just a girl. Could I be any more obvious? Well, they get off on the wrong foot due to Thaddeus having made the previous comment on the House of Ashbourne being in disrepair. They eventually bond over their shared dislike for the prince.
But he is also perhaps, and pardon me for saying this about your sovereign, the most repulsive man being I've ever met.
Well, that's treason.
No, that's reason.
Ella speaks of how there are actually worse rulers out there than the prince, to which Thaddeus responds,
You're right. We can't just kill the king, can we? How would that work?
I'm not talking about the king.
Neither am I. I didn't say anything.
And then Thaddeus, embarrassed and having committed treason, decides to just go. Meanwhile, Ella grapples with the fact that maybe, by suffering through this marriage with the prince, she could undo her stepmother's plan for bringing back the age of ashen sky where trolls roamed free. As she sings a song that recaps back through her songs she has sang throughout the show in Act 1, she realizes she's ready. Ella finally has the courage to stand up against the trolls.
Through the years, I still remember the picture that I'd paint. It was of everyone that I've lost. I've been thinking about if I close my eyes. I was raised to be appraised, my path was paved, dresses made, princess bride to be.
But this gets interrupted by some guards who were paid a pretty 5 seconds in heaven by the stepmother to get rid of this mysterious starlight-wearing visitor. Thankfully, they are interrupted by the arrival of Sir Hopalot and Crumb, delivering a line that reminds me of a TikTok sound that I heard before.
Sir Hop-a-Lot, hop away! There are 3 of them and 1 of you!
Indeed, my lady. They're quite outmatched.
I think there's been some confusion. I'm not the one in trouble here.
What?
There are only 4 of you. You'll need more than that.
With Kurt Mega's terrific fight choreography, Sir Hop-a-Lot dispatches of all the guards, telling each of them,
You're beaten.
quite the honourable fellow. While it looks as though it is Sir Hop-a-Lot who may be beaten, as Sun Wu says in The Art of War,
Just kidding. You're beaten.
Ella departs with a kiss, which I thought was going to turn the frog human, but then I realised I'm getting my fairy tales mixed up. As Ella and Crumb make their escape, Crumb begins to fall behind, to which we get this delightful interaction between the two.
Oh, you're so soft.
Oh, I'm getting sleepy.
There you are, sweet girl.
Damn it, stepmother, can't we catch a damn break? Through Crumb's brave sacrifice, Ella makes her escape, and don't worry, he's not dead, he just had to sacrifice his state of being cozy-wozy. However, like in the story we all know, Ella leaves a shoe behind, calling her stepmother a troll as she gets away, which may just be her downfall.
Wait a minute. How could she know? There's only one human who... No. It can't be.
The prince finds the shoe and turns into a sniffer dog, or should I say a dog sniffer.
Oh, yes, that's the sweet stink of my lady's toes.
Wow, he really is a repulsive man thing. Anyways, the search is on for the one whose foot the shoe belongs to. In this story of Cinderella, rather than the clock striking 12, losing the glass slipper is what has broken the connection to the Fairy Queen's magic, and as Ella returned home, her stepmother had already put 2 and 2 together. And it all goes downhill from here. Sir Hop-a-Lot has been smashed with a big fucking rock, Putris eats him whole, and the stepmother gets to work finding the right feet to fit the shoe, where we are given probably the most disturbing scene that Starkid has put on stage so far. Content warning and all that, skip ahead to avoid nightmares.
By the grace of the night and gods of the fire. Shut up! No, fuck.
Fuck you, Ella!
I want you to watch.
This little piggy went to market!
I want you to watch.
And this little piggy went home!
Fuck you! I want you to watch.
This little piggy had roast beef! And this little piggy had none!
I want you to watch.
Yes, Ella! This is where you and your kind belong! Underfoot!
Ella screams out for the Fairy Queen, her father, even her mother, but to no avail. Whereas in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, the gore was done in a comedic way every time, this is just pure torture, where they keep her awake to see her legs get shredded. Only Hey Melissa matches how disturbing the mutilation is, and thankfully that was only a description, but this, the sound design, Bryce Charles' screams of agony, wow, she's such a goddamn good performer. And at the end of it all, Ella is dead.
Dear Ella died.
Excuse me?
Do you have a question, Master Dwarf?
Yes! Fuck you!
My thoughts exactly, Ragweed. Returning to our story, we see the shoe itself, with its magic, burns those whom it does not belong to. However, with Cinderella's feet stitched to Putris, it fits like a glove.
Oh, fits like a glove.
It's a shoe, stupid.
It's an expression, dumbass.
With all the pieces in place, it is time for the royal horrid wedding, With Thaddeus officiating and the stepmother and Rosilda in the audience, yep, there they are, it was time for the Trolls' grand design to finally be complete, with nobody left to stop them as the prince is beheaded.
Don't you want to carry your bride across the threshold?
Kiss me, lover boy! I did it! I ripped his head off just like you and Dad! How romantic!
But who appears from the darkness? It's John McNamara! Nah, just kidding. It's Cinderella, risen from the ashes of death. As per rules of bullshit magic ex machina, when the slippers were worn on her feet once again, the magic connection to the Fairy Queen resumed, which means Ella is promised her vengeance, and her noble knight and squire return to their mighty forms.
Mom? I don't feel so good.
You're beaten! You cold, my lady!
I love you, Sir Hop-a-Lot. And I love Ransilda too, as she explains all she wants in life is a bridge, to give tolls, and to give out riddles. Like every good bureaucrat. Unfortunately, Sir Hop-a-Lot and Crumb won't let her get that far. Also, she'll probably turn to stone in the sun. And speaking of the sun, isn't it actually a star?
Your fear! Behold, these trappings of starlight! No! What is that?
The most beautiful light in the eternal dark.
Where all things return and all things will start.
The living ember of the flame of life.
Behold my starlight.
Yes, Bryce Charles, yes! Oh, she is absolutely carrying. Ah! I knew she was about to hit some fucking banger notes in the climax. And also the finale. Bryce Charles is the MVP. So everyone gets their happily ever after, the king smothering himself in a pillow out of grief for his dead son. Ella becomes queen because the wedding actually counted. Sir Hop-a-Lot becomes a lord, Crumb becomes a knight, and Jeff Blim gets one final self-indulgent place in the spotlight. Let's go.
Let's go.
Through a secret passageway where shadows dance and play, you're guided by wonder. You're guided by wonder. In the realm of fantasy, it's sort of a factory for stories that shudder and the kingdom that loves her. Let's go!
So how does Cinderella's castle take its place between starkid's shows of new and old? Well, it is definitely more of an adaptation than a parody, with the unique framing device being the narrator and the immersive theatre setting that's going on. Does it stand next to Twisted? Not really, but comparing it to Twisted seems almost unfair just because of how perfect that show is. Although it is similar, it doesn't quite hit that balance of comedy and tragedy, and instead more of a dark comedy. Yet with the comedy, it doesn't quite hit the same highs as something like The Guy Who Doesn't Like Musicals. And however, I think this is consistently seen with every new Starkid show. The vocal talent is incredible. While perhaps there aren't as many quotable lines as we come to expect from a Starkid show given the use of ye olde English, but then there's the prince who's spewing dick joke after dick joke, and the troll trio, which I've already sung the praises of. It does, however, excel in character development. Like, I can definitely see Starkid revisiting these characters in future shows. It seems as though they will use the Boggs Hollow Theatre as a new Hatchetfield as a consistent setting for the stories they tell in future. And I would love to see in a show like, I don't know, Red's Riding Hood, where Lord Hop-a-Lot or Sir Crumb make a cameo to show the continuation similar to Paul and Emma in the Hatchetfield series. While I believe the song, story and show as a whole will grow on me as time goes on, it's definitely one that I'll only be thinking about from time to time. You know, I think although it will take a few watches, I will love this show. Similar to how Black Friday took me a while to fall in love with the emotional beats of that story. My Starkid brain just keeps looking for comedy first, unfortunately. Well, my main point is that I'm glad we're getting something new that is sort of separate from the Hatchetfield series. As much as I love that and love reviewing the Hatchetfield series, as well as I'm sure the starkid love that freedom and comfort of being in that sandbox, as once again, if you watch the Story Matters podcast between Kurt Mega and Bryce Charles, you get such a better insight into what they're thinking about. Oh my god, you know what? Maybe I do quote this songs a bit more than I realized. But anyways, yeah, it's great to see something the starkid is making that doesn't loop back into Hatchetfield and oh my god, Hatchetfield is coming back. The guy that didn't like musicals is coming back as a reprise. Hatchetfield never dies. I can't escape.